AskReddit by Chert Guy 2000. What city is overrated? Party City. As a former slave associate at Party City, I 100% agree. Winnipeg. Most people think it's a shithole. That's overrated. I thought Winnipeg was lovely when I visited. I'd absolutely go back. Then again, I am from Regina. Atlantic City. Venture a few blocks off the boardwalk and it's incredibly depressing. Very clearly an area exploited by the big casinos while the locals have been driven to absolute poverty, while they still force a smile to work the shops that are required for the tourist traffic. When I was living in Las Vegas, I met someone who had just moved there from Atlantic City. Oh, I hear Atlantic City is, like, the Las Vegas of the East Coast, I said. He responded, Atlantic City is like if Vegas had apes. There was kind of a weird silence after that. Cabot Cove, the murder capital of the world. Sure, the murders are all solved, but would you really want to live in a city with that much, easily solved, crime? St. Mary Mead is another one. Tiny village has probably the highest murder population ratio in existence. Dubai. It's the clickbait of the world. We have the biggest, tallest, most expensive. You won't believe when you see this. It's hot as fuck. Everything's a man-made tourist trap. Labor exploitation and racism are rampant, and they try so hard to prove to the world how modern and westernized they are. Really, it's just government propaganda. Went there a couple times on port visits while I was in the Navy. Everyone asked me how it was when I got home. And I always said if I wanted to spend a ton of money getting drunk in the desert, I'll just go to Vegas and save myself the jet lag. Niagara Falls, Canada. I grew up there. Mayor pumps most of tax dollar sign to casinos and tourism with flashy Vegas-esque attractions. Niagara Falls is corny as hell. Really enjoyed Niagara on the lake though. Wine country, baby. Myrtle Beach. I'm not even saying that it has a good reputation, I'm just saying that any shred of positive thinking about it makes it overrated. It has the highest quantity of buildings per capita with shark mouth entrances in the world though. If that's not culture, I don't know what is. Lego City. There always has to be someone falling into the river. Hey. Shelbyville. Those fuckers steal trees from neighboring cities. Come to Ogdenville, A. Common theme is cool cities that became overpopulated and expensive. Yep, that's Austin, TX currently. I live here and now it's just, Lambs Grove, Iowa. It's not the paradise on earth that people always say it is. Don't get me wrong. It's got great Chinese food but the Motel 6 is meh at best. I will cancel my vacation plans. Gotham. Too much crime. They say things are getting better, but things are worse than ever. The bloom's coming off the Rose City for Portland. Over the last decade or so the city's reputation as a scrappy underdog with a DIY art scene has attracted tons of people. Which has attracted lots of developers who tear down the scrappy DIY venues and bars and drive rent up and make it impossible to actually live in the city while making art music there. Kinda like Austin, TX for the past 40 years or so. My entire life has been watching people move from Houston to Austin and they all have the same complaint right around the 4-5 year mark. Austin just isn't the same anymore. I've been hearing that for about 25 years now. And I've had this discussion with people older than me and they say it's been that way for a long time. Cairo Lake is a shitshow. It's beautiful but at every corner awaits a new way to get scammed. Miami. I'll explain. I'm Latin American, and for most of the people in this neck of the continent, Miami and the US are synonymous with one another. If someone tells you that they're traveling outside the country, 99% of the time they are traveling to Miami. Say that you live abroad, like I do, and people will say that they'd love to live in Miami as well. Latin Americans who travel to Miami do so for 3 reasons: to go to the beach, to go shopping for all the foreign products they can't get back home, and as a starting point for a trip to Disney World. Every year flocks of tourists from South America fly to Miami and all they do is go to the mall and to South Beach. And what's worse, they'll call the city paradise because it has all the good things about the United States without you needing to speak English. But there's nothing there. Sure, there are a couple of interesting places to visit. The Sky is a genuinely interesting place, but if you want to do anything that isn't hanging out at the mall or getting sunburnt, Miami is a void that slowly sucks out your will to live. Miami is a hell that has somehow fooled an entire continent into thinking that it's heaven. Damn. The us side of the Niagara Falls is a fucking shithole. There's a ton of crappy looking buildings and shitty tourist trap places. It's gross. The city of Niagara Falls itself is absolutely falling apart. It doesn't help that there was a huge neighborhood built on top of a mound of toxic waste that made a bunch of residents sick. There's a large portion of the city that's legitimately abandoned because of it. So every big city is overrated. Got it. Reddit. I went to a big city and it was a big city and or too touristy and or too crowded. To sum up this thread, the world is shit. I would list Washington DC and Portland, Maine as underrated cities. DC gets a bad rap because politics, but the city itself is pretty cool. Portland has its downsides but definitely flies under the radar as people mainly think of Portland, Oregon. Boise. Don't come here. Every city can be overrated if you ask the right person.